Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes lose to South Carolina, and, not even arguably, one of the most unlikable figures, wearing a $5,000 Louis suit, coaching a basketball game, won a national championship. And, yeah, I think that the college basketball season ended. And I think the real question is, did Caitlin Clark save college basketball? And I don't even have a question about that. I have no doubts in my mind. Caitlin Clark saved college basketball in what has been a historically bad college basketball season. The only reason people tune in to college basketball, women's or men, was to see Caitlin Clark. She set a viewership record. And when I say she, Caitlin Clark is the reason you watched Iowa versus UConn. There's no question about that. Caitlin Clark is the reason that you turned on the TV most of this college basketball season, and certainly since the turn of the year. Caitlin Clark saved college basketball. She brought you to the screen. In an era where we have nameless, faceless stars of college basketball, in what is going to be one of the weakest NBA drafts in a decade, Caitlin Clark saved college basketball. Does she earn renowned success and respect? She does not, which I think speaks to her greatness. Not everybody likes Caitlin Clark. Not everybody should like Caitlin Clark. If you are elite and you are the best at what you do, a lot of people are not going to like you, and that's just fine, because Caitlin Clark is going to go on to the WNBA, and she's going to go on to make millions in commercial success. But let's remember one thing. In the 23-24 college basketball season, Jake, in my opinion, Caitlin Clark saved this season.
Absolutely. And I think you're exactly right. I mean, people tuned in to catch her, and she became a phenomenon. I don't think that people really started catching on to the Caitlin Clark greatness, until halfway to 3/4 into the season. And then it basically set fire to the sport. And I think that that's what the sport needed. And I think, college basketball is in a position where we obviously don't have 1,000,001 players like Caitlin Clark. We don't have a ton of great storylines to follow. I mean, it's seemingly every day in our members only group chat where someone's like, yeah, wow, this team's disappointing, or that team's disappointing, or, the Big 12's terrible, or the SEC's the best. Like, we talk about conferences and teams. We don't talk about players. And I think that Caitlin Clark changed that a little bit. And I think, the rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, was ultimately good for the sport. I think the sport needs more heat like that. And frankly, if you said to someone, hey, do you think we'd ever come into a time where women's college basketball would be outpacing a lot of professional leagues viewership-wise on a game-in, game-out basis? People would have said you're out of your mind. But that's the power that Caitlin Clark was able to wield and control. And I think for her, obviously one of the best college careers we've ever seen. And I think that's the type of performance women's college basketball is going to need moving forward to continue to stay relevant. And in this growth, of course, you won't always get like 14.5 million people watching one game. You won't always have these super high numbers, but I think we can all agree that women's college basketball definitely was raised through Caitlin Clark's career. And I think that is why I agree that Caitlin Clark saved college basketball this season, because there really isn't a lot to hold on to with college basketball right now. You don't really have, a lot of teams where you're like, man, I can really marry up to them. Like, you're either a UConn lover or you hate UConn, right? You're either it's one way or the other. There's no like kind of happy medium in college basketball anymore. And that's partially why I think the sport struggles sometimes.
Yeah, I have no doubt that this is going to be one of the worst college drafts I think that we have ever seen. I think this coming draft, you are going to see more international and G League talent taken at the top of this draft than we probably have ever seen. I think it's not even arguable at this point. Like, you look at the situation with John Calipari. John Calipari is no longer a coach of consequence in college basketball. If you didn't hear, you may see on the ticker that John Calipari is likely doing a deal as we speak with Arkansas for a significant pay cut and an incentive-laden contract, and Kentucky is happy to let him go. And I think it's one of these situations where it's coming back now because of NIL, but college basketball, as we have talked about, has been significantly damaged by NIL. And you find most of your talent left the college basketball ranks because NIL did not exist. Now that NIL is in place, it is coming back. But the absence of the ability to capitalize on your name, image, and likeness absolutely damaged college sports. And I think basketball took the brunt of that damage because you had other options, whether it be the G League, whether it be Australia, Lithuania, if your last name was Ball, you had other avenues to go and make your money. And I think we saw most kids doing that, or not most, a lot of kids, and certainly some of the top talent in the country doing that. And I look at Caitlin Clark. If Caitlin Clark is not Caitlin Clark, I think you do not see that. For instance, Iowa and UConn in the Final Four, the most watched college, professional, any basketball game ever on ESPN was UConn and Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the whole sentence. A women's basketball game with Caitlin Clark in it is the most watched basketball game ever on ESPN. Caitlin Clark saved the game of basketball, period.
And I think that again, it's that whole idea of people love a hero role. People love to latch on to a sports figure and follow their path. And I think that,
I agree.
Just the concept of, hey, it's Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers, these two are going to go back and forth, and this is going to be a phenomenal game. This has the opportunity to be a national championship game in the semifinal format type situation. And I think people love that. And that's what I'm saying, man. I think that there has to be, another one and another one and another one for women's college basketball to continue to raise up. We need more talents like Caitlin Clark coming out of, the woodwork, if you will. We need more young women being developed at the high school level so they can go and play at that level. And I do think some of that is happening. I think, part of the reason that NIL is so prolific in college basketball is because these guys are good. These guys can play. These guys are skilled. And it's kind of this thing where it's hey, you play basketball one way at a young level, and then you play it a totally different way at the college level. And so you're dealing with different dynamics in both men's and women's college basketball, and it makes it tough sometimes.
And can we talk about this screen? I'm so tired of hearing about the screen. Let's get something straight. The screen in the UConn game, without a doubt, this is an illegal screen. Every single time, no matter when in the game or what kind of game it is. This screen is so flagrant. It is so flagrant. We're left with no choice but to call it. Illegal screens happen every single night in the NBA. They don't call it. Illegal screens happen in every basketball game and they go uncalled. Unless you are so flagrantly out of position and you are so flagrantly outside of the rule that you leave the officials no choice but to call an illegal screen. And I would point a couple of things out in these photos. Number one, the UConn player setting the screen, look how off kilter she is. And when I say off kilter, the rule on a screen is physically you need to be inside the frame of your body. Okay, so you can't be, completely leaning to your left with your shoulder and your elbow, with your right leg dragging because you're leaning. Look at her right leg is completely bent because she's leaning to her left.
Yeah.
Look at where her arms are. Your arms cannot be up. Okay. The other thing about this screen, you have to have position set. Does that look like when she gets to contact with her right arm in front of her? Does that look like she's beaten the offensive or the defensive player to the position? She certainly did not. And the other thing I would point out here is Mike Maples in our chat pointed out the other day. And I think we both said the exact same thing at the exact same time. If you're pissed that this was called an illegal screen, go and get Paige Beckers. Go and bitch at Paige Beckers. What is wrong with this picture with Paige Beckers on the right there? Who wants to tell me what's wrong with this picture? It's fundamentally fucked. That's what's wrong with this picture. She is so high off of the screen. When you play basketball and you play in any organized or you're coached, you are taught to put your hip on your teammate's hip, the person setting the screen for you. You are taught to put your hip on her hip. Look at the gap between Paige Beckers and the person setting the screen. It's a terrible fundamental basketball play by Paige Beckers trying to run off this screen. What was the point of the screen here? Because Paige Beckers isn't using it.
No.
Like, there's so much wrong with this screen. They left no choice for the official. So please stop with this bullshit that, well, they wanted to see Caitlin Clark in the final. Well, I'm sure they did. Calling this screen an illegal screen is not flagrant. It is not, the fix is in. By any rule that you read, this is an illegal screen.
100%.
Stop with the bullshit trying to say that this is not an illegal screen. If you're upset with this screen, go talk to Paige Beckers because she doesn't know how to run off a screen.
Yeah, I mean, it is on Paige. I mean, there's no question. You can't put your teammate in that position. And again, the commitment to try to make the screen, I get it. But at the same time, like, you got to have situational awareness as well. You know, you're in that game situation. You can't afford a turnover there. That's not going to work. And that's exactly what they got. And I think that, people freaked out about it. And it's like, dude, like if they don't call it, how does that make Iowa feel? I mean, that's such an egregious advantage you're giving them by not blowing the whistle.
Look how far outside she is. Look where the screen starts. Look where the screen ends. Look where she moves so much. Her body is outside the 3-point line.
Well, and I think the thing that
are you kidding me?
The pictures can't show you, if you haven't seen this screen somehow, the one thing the pictures can't show you is how much she used her arms to set the screen too. She's basically, lead blocking for Paige Beckers at that point. And that's the issue.
It's wild to me.
Is that you're not only moving, but you're sliding, but you're also extending. You can't extend your arms when you set a screen. You have to be in position, and arms essentially down to your side. That's how you set a proper screen. You're basically using your chest and your shoulder to set the screen, not your arms, not your hip. Like in the league all the time, you'll see guys get whistled for this because they stick their hip out or they want to lean into the screen one way or the other. You can't do that. And again,
you can't do it ever. But if you're going to do this in a game that has national championship implications, I would not do it at the top of the key with the game on the line.
Right in front of the official.
Because they have to. It's so egregious. They have to. It's like, I don't even know like what else you could even compare. Like it was a football play.
Yeah.
It was so bad. It's not like every screen Rudy Gobert sets in the NBA is an illegal screen. He's leaning, he's moving. They never call it. If it's the NBA, well, it won't be the NBA finals because Rudy Gobert will never play for a championship. But
I get it.
My point is, if that had been if this had been October, November, December, hell, even the conference tournament, that play may not get called. In the NCAA tournament, in the Final Four, it's getting called.
Yeah.
It's on national TV in the most watched basketball game ever on ESPN.
And it's the right call. Like
And I love it. Like, yeah, you watch a lot of women's games. That's never called. It doesn't matter if it's never called. It was the right call. If you're upset about it not being called ever, okay, I guess we can talk about that. Don't make the argument it's a legal screen because it's not legal. It is illegal.
And the issue is that it was so egregious you forced their hand. Like this point here, I love this. Hey, so it's never called. Okay, you're right. Most of the time it's never called, but the reason it's never called is because it wasn't as egregious as this one was. She clearly moves probably 2 to 3 times her body to the side and then uses her arms. It's not in question, man. It's not. This isn't some like, oh, the fix is in, or this was a borderline play. This was not a borderline play, man.
It's not borderline.
You were lined up in the neutral zone. You boarded a guy. You did any whatever comparison you want to use, man. It is illegal what she did, and that's just the reality of it.
Yeah. You know what the other reality of this is that I'm curious how many people even care. Because the one thing that we've seen, and I've said this on the show 1,000 times. I believe that people like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, like the best players in college basketball on the women's side are critically important to young people in this country, especially young women. Like watching and I have no life, the drive, chip, and putt championships at Augusta yesterday were really important. And the kids there, what was the one of the women's champions when they have different age groups? I think the 14 and 15-year-old, it could have been, I don't remember her age, frankly, but she was one of the older groups. What did she say? I was inspired by Caitlin Clark. That's a girl that plays golf, and I believe her other sport is soccer. Inspired by Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Like, it's critically important. But I also think there's a large swath of people with penises in this country who don't care about women's college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the interesting parts of this is, if you're a basketball fan of any kind, you watched a Caitlin Clark game.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that there's always going to be people who are like, it's women's college basketball. It's women's sports. I'm not going to watch. And I totally get that. You missed out on one of the greatest performances I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, and by the way, throwing up 30 in the national championship game against the number one defense in the country.
And having it be one of your worst performances of the year.
Yeah.
One of her worst performances of the year. No doubt about it. And it is no small thing. I don't know. I think Caitlin Clark saved college basketball. I think college basketball has been dead for several years. Like, I think this will be, and I'll continue to say it, I think this is going to be one of the worst NBA drafts in the last decade. I think that the percentages.
Sorry. Hit my issue here. Sorry.
No, all of a sudden we're taking days off and we can just,
Dude, it was an accident.
Slam the
bro.
microphone.
It was an accident. Okay.
I think Alex Sarr from the Australian Basketball League is going to go number one in this draft. And I also think that you look at some of the other guys, Nikola Topic from Serbia, I think is a top 5 pick. I think this Buzelis kid from Lithuania that everybody's been raving about, I think he's a top 5 pick. I do think Donovan Clingan from UConn is going to be arguably a top 5 pick, depending on what happens. Mm-hmm. But I think you're going to see more foreign-born players, and this is going to be a draft that's going to be very difficult to hit a home run in.
Well, and that's why I think that's why I do think Bronny inevitably does go to the draft.
And he should.
Yeah, I think he's got opportunity here. I think you look at his situation and the season he didn't have this past season. This is the exact kind of draft Bronny needs. 100%.
If you are a team in the bottom half of the first round and you don't take Bronny James, I think you're crazy. Yeah. If he stays in the draft.
Yeah.
Because remember, he put his name in the transfer portal. He can pull out of the draft. Like,
yeah.
If Bronny's in the draft and you have the ability to select him outside the top 10, outside the lottery, essentially, and you don't, I don't know what you're thinking here.
Totally agree.
Because you are, yes, he's a developmental project. Yes, there's a chance he's going to be a bust. But do you understand the lack of depth in this draft? The absolute lack of depth in this draft, and certainly on the college side.
Well, and I think that everybody wants Bronny to be LeBron. Everybody wants to compare him to LeBron, and I'm telling you, it's not a fair comparison. I think Bronny's a hell of a basketball player.
Yeah.
And yeah, did he have the season he wanted to have at SC? No, of course not. But that doesn't change the fact his IQ is really high on the basketball floor. And I think he can be a great 2-guard in the league. I think that he could easily be in a starting 5 in a couple of years. Like he's definitely.
But I think he's a Rajon Rondo type player. I don't think he'll ever be a great 3-point shooter. That's just my opinion. I think he's a guy that will be a very, very good facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
He will be somebody. He's never going to average 20 points in the league. He's never going to shoot 40% from three. I think he's a guy that can be the cherry on top of a championship starting five. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And it's because he is already unselfish, because I think he knows he has to be unselfish.
Yes.
Because he's not a guy that's going to get, again, I don't think he averages 20 points. I could see him averaging double-digit assists in the NBA. He'll never be a guy that you're like, oh, man, look at him. He scores 75 points. That ain't who LeBron is. That's not who he is. It's not who he is. But you should take him on Prize Picks.
Yes.
Now, Prize Picks, as you know,
stay hard.
Sometimes and sometimes not. But I appreciate all the people on Instagram and Twitter who reached out to me over the weekend, who took my advice last week and played Caitlin Clark all weekend long on Prize Picks, because you made money, period, point blank.
Right.
You made money. Now, you may not have known that she was playing in a national championship game yesterday.
Hold on. Did anybody know they were playing yesterday? Like,
9 out of 10 people did not know.
How poor of a job did they do marketing the national championship game of women's college basketball? Like, were we going to run an ESPN ad, or like, were we going to do something?
Yeah, it was a little disappointing. But for those of you that got on Prize Picks and you played Caitlin Clark, she cashed all weekend long. All weekend long. I won both nights on Caitlin Clark.
Boom.
Love it. Back up into the positive already, because we did not have a good it was some tough sledding there Thursday.
Yeah.
Show me the money. The gambler did not help me on Thursday or Friday.
Oh, he's got a new bookie. He's putting out different numbers now.
I think Shohei Ohtani is in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. Anyway, Prize Picks, prizepicks.com. Use the promo code Monty. Major League Baseball on Prize Picks has been phenomenal. If you are not on Eddy tonight, you're an idiot, because the guy's going to make you money. I haven't even looked at his number yet. Let's see. Because, I'm dealing with my dog who's older than fuck, so his back is killing him. Thank you for that. I'm so bitter about my dog. Zach Eddy, 38.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Yeah, I would take that. He has been undefeated. I think he's on a 6-week run of being undefeated in games. His number at 38.5, he's hit it 4 out of the last 5. And hit 36 against NC State.
I think I've hit it every time.
That's my guy. I'm in.
Do I not get a Monty rant about Zach Eddy, your tall guy, beating the hell out of DJ Burns? Do we not get that?
He's only good because he's tall. I don't understand what the issue is.
Well, you weren't a DJ Burns guy.
I hate DJ Burns. He's
Yeah,
fat. He's out of shape.
I was expecting a Monty Monday rant about Burns. No?
Listen, he's a good story. I get it. Everybody likes Chubbs McGahee. Like, that's why so many people were rooting for Zion. I understand it. You like portly mother. They're good at sports. We get it. I hit dingers, right? Chicken tendies and fries.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
He's not a good basketball player.
And I ain't giving up no damn Rice Krispie treats.
Right? He's not. What do you want me to say about it?
Yeah.
Like, listen, I understand. Oh, the ACC is the greatest basketball conference ever. Fuck out of here. Like,
Yeah, man.
DJ
My
Burns.
favorite food is chicken tendies and fries.
Probably should have had fewer of those during the NCAA tournament, Chubb.
I don't give a big
I know you don't. I'm just not here for it, right? Like, I'm not here for this whole thing where it's like, oh man, DJ Burns, he is. Yeah, I don't want to hear about his waistline. You don't have to, because Chubbs is out of the tournament.
Yeah,
he's out of the tournament.
Yeah,
and I love everybody who's like, oh, he's 6'9", 275. Get the fuck out.
Shut the fuck up,
dude.
Donnie.
He was born at 300 pounds. Like,
dude, he's
275.
275, bro.
275. 275. How was that 8-point, 1 block, 1 rebound performance against NC State where you lost by 13? Oh, man. Boy. DJ Burns had a huge impact on that game. That's defense, maybe.
Yummy.
8-point. Man, did you see him against Duke?
Duke is Duke.
Please. DJ Burns.
This is a tasty burger.
DJ Burns. DJ Burns, bro. DJ Burns.
Oh, DJ.
Look, NC State's better than at UNC.
Hey, Monty.
Whatever. Anyway, prizepicks.com. Use the promo code Monty. Don't put your ducats on DJ Burns. Zach Eddy tonight. Although UConn's probably got the best big man he's going to see.
Just a stalwartness.
I'm just telling you now. Klingen's number is 13.5. I am far more willing to go 38.5 on Zach Eddy. That's where I would be on it. That's where I'd be on it. I'm just,
You're just saying. All right, cool. Let's see how bad we can mess up the comments section today.
Use the promo code Monty. Get 100% deposit matching. Then you too can afford a $5,000 Vuitton suit.
It's annoying, dude.
Is Dawn Staley the most unlikable person in basketball?
Yeah.
It's got to be close.
Yeah.
Got to be close.
Dawn Staley or Jim Harbaugh?
Your mom. Your mom. I hate your mom more than anybody. But, oh my God. Can you imagine if Dawn Staley and Jim Harbaugh were smashing?
Because shit's going good.
Dude.
Macaque.
My God.
Bro.
That would be terrible.
Nah, I'm good.
Terrible. Anyway, use the promo code Monty. Get 100% deposit matching. PrizePicks.com. Download the app. I appreciate everybody that DMs me your wins. And, like I was talking to one cat about Nico Horner. It's like, I saw that play Nico made. Going to take him on PrizePicks. No, you need him to hit. You need him to hit. Now, I did tell Lil Kevy. Kevin Spradlin on Instagram was asking me about baseball yesterday. What did I tell you about Cody Bellinger?
Sprads,
what did I tell you, Kevy?
Yeah.
Told you about Cody Bellinger. Little bing bing yesterday. Let's go. Might strike out the 9 other at-bats in the series. He's got one in him, which is what she said. Oh! Anyway, my point is, baseball's phenomenal. The Masters this week.
The Masters.
Who's ready for the Masters this week?
Stay hard, dude. I am.
I'm ready for the Masters.
100%.
I am ready for the Masters. I'm ready for my guy Akshay Bhatia not to make the cut. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
It is going to be amazing.
Well, he's only playing with one shoulder. I mean, it's difficult.
2 words. Max Homa.
Yeah. 2 words. Eat some pasta.
Shut up. Anyway. Well, see, you just wake up on some days. So Jake says to me this morning, hey, by the way, we're off on Friday. I'm going to the desert. Going to dip my caulk in some sand.
My cacti?
Churro.
Yeah, my cacti.
We're going full churro.
Macaque.
Okay. So apparently we're off on Friday.
You're welcome, by the way.
For what?
For giving you an off day on Friday.
I don't need an off day.
Uh-huh.
I don't.
Right.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. Good morning, Jimmy Otson. Hello. Like number 21. Let's get some of your comments rolling in here. Man, where do I even begin?
Oh, Monty, that was a legal screen.
Cap Lock Friday Coug, illegal screen. Amen, Monty. I don't think it's that. It's not even an argument. You can't even argue it.
By the way, nice name.
It is, exactly. It is. I mean, if that shot's not bad enough, and again, if you're pissed about this call, go talk to Paige Beckers. Learn how to run off a screen. And if that's not the image that tells you this is an illegal screen, look at her right leg.
She's not square to the target.
Her elbow,
she's not inside her body.
Her left elbow, her left knee, and her entire right fucking leg is outside her frame. No, Monty, not a legal screen. It's legal because they never call it illegal.
Yeah.
It's because it's illegal.
Because it's illegal.
That's why they called it.
I don't break the rules.
It's not illegal. It's the vernal equinox. You can't make that call.
Well,
I get it.
It's the fucking vernal equinox.
I totally get it. I totally understand it.
okay, who's next?
Let's see. The comments are dumping. Mike Smith, I'm glad that she has probably got got other young women interested in the sport. Some days it just takes more words. I get it. Mike Smith, you could be right. Just held no interest for me, nor does hockey or baseball. There you go. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're not a fan of hot chicks playing basketball, it's fine. Probably, Rick Forrester, West Virginia got robbed before UConn. I'm sure they did.
And
They
what
were
does
all.
that have to do with the price of tea in China?
All they want to do is clean their coal.
Yeah.
Just give them a hose and a brush and let them clean their coal, man.
Yeah, dude.
All right. Same Mike, hockey and baseball playoffs might get me, but I like my hoops where a majority of the association jumps 3 feet high. Call me crazy, but I like athletic people in my athletics.
Right, but women are athletic.
Jake, they only jump 3 feet high.
Right.
It is what it is. It is what it is. RJ Seam loaner phone. It was like calling a slide too rough in baseball. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's.
Dude, next comment. I'm not here for him today. Next comment.
Dakota Tubbs, yeah, but it's Michigan, so no one cares.
Well, see, that's a fair point.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. Eric and Raleigh, South Carolina is just on an entirely different level. Dawn Staley has her South Carolina team practice like a professional team. She's a great coach, but a detestable person.
100%.
What the bullshit she pulled at BYU, that she's just a detestable person.
But I agree. Just from X's and O's, yeah, they play phenomenal basketball. Their ability to space the floor in transition, and the thing I noticed about them is the player with the ball in transition is always aware of what's around them, what the options are around them. So they wind up finding the wide open three on the wing, and they're going to make that at a really high rate. And that's why you end up losing to them. Not because South Carolina is so much better. They just create better opportunities for themselves, and that's
they're
why
well coached.
Dawn
Staley's a good coach.
Yeah.
And a detestable human being.